Basin is a public domain mapping and analysis platform that supports conservation and environmental stewardship. The platform hosts hundreds of data sets posted by a wide array of scientists and organizations, one of them being the Ecosystems of the Western Hemisphere tool highlighted in this video. This application is similar to the USGS Terrestrial Ecosystems Viewer in that it displays native ecosystems and other types of semi-natural and cultural land cover derived from the International Vegetation Classification, or IVC. It differs, however, in that it covers all of the Western Hemisphere, not just North America, and provides greater functionality in how ecosystems data are displayed. In this video, we'll use the application to identify the ecosystem at a site in Baja California, where field observations by an inspector indicate a native ecosystem may have recently been converted to organic agriculture. To access this application, you have to go to Data Basin and enter a long string of numbers to reach it, which we have helpfully included the link in the toolkit for you. The homepage displays a map of the Western Hemisphere. The drop-down menus on the left allow the user to select the data set being displayed, the type of base map, and to create different kinds of drawings and polygons to help you highlight the area of interest. The group of buttons near the middle of the top bar are the main navigation tools, while the group of buttons on the right let you perform different analyses. Clicking on the question mark will open a short tour of the home page that describes the functions of the different buttons. To begin, make sure that the Ecosystems of the Western Hemisphere box under data sets is not checked. Keep that blank for the moment because site navigation seems to function better without it being checked. Then select the Locate button from the top toolbar. The Go To Location menu that appears in the pop-up box has three options: address, latitude, longitude, or location name. Any of these can be used to quickly navigate to a site of interest. Here, we'll paste the address of the site, which we've obtained from the certification application. And then we'll hit the Submit button. A hyperlinked version of the address then appears in the box in the location menu. And clicking on it brings up this other little pop-up box pointing right to the location. It contains an option to add a point to the map at the address site. This can be a useful feature for keeping track of the whereabouts of the site as you zoom in, but it isn't necessary to navigate to the site. By clicking the zoom button several times, it automatically centers the map on the site as it zooms in. You also have the option to change the base map, and you do that by expanding the base maps menu here. And you can select from a variety of street maps, topographic maps, or imagery, depending on your preferences. We prefer using satellite imagery for this purpose because it is much easier to identify a specific field or site of interest. And so we're going to zoom in just a little more. There we go. Back out just slightly. There. Now we can close that. For reasons that will soon become apparent, it is desirable at this point to use the Drawings menu to create a polygon to highlight the borders of the site of interest. Here we have a crop circle basically created by a center pivot irrigation system. So we'll draw a circle around the cultivated part of the site. To do that, you open the drawings menu and then you select create. And for the drawing type, you select circles, and then you place your cursor at the center of the desired site and use your mouse to drag a circle that covers the circular area. Open the color submenu and select no color. That allows you to see the features of the site in the satellite imagery. And you're left with a bright red circular border around the site. You can use the border style submenu to change the weight and style of the border to make it more or less visible. And here we'll just simply bump it up to 4 points. And when you're done, you just click submit and the circle becomes a permanent fixture on your map. And now we're all done with the drawing submenu, so we'll close that out. Now we're ready to display ecosystems. Expand the data sets menu. And check the 3 boxes in the following order. We also expand the systems menu. And first we want to look at existing ecosystems. So you select North America IVC existing, you select systems, and then finally at the top of the menu, ecosystems of the Western Hemisphere, which we had turned off earlier. And now, as it happens, the site has been having some difficulties loading data sets as I've been trying to make this video. So sometimes you have to futz with it a little bit to make them display. And now here they come. Initially, the ecosystems map is completely opaque, which can be disoriented because the satellite image that acts as your base map and any distinguishing landmarks you might be seeing on that are not visible. There are 2 ways to address this. The first is to click on this small arrow next to ecosystems of the Western Hemisphere, and that opens up several functions, and you can scroll down to transparency and move over to this slider, and you can increase the transparency of the ecosystems layer so that you can see some of the base map beneath it. However, a better way is what we did a little while ago, and that's using the drawings menu to create a circle or some other polygon matching the borders of your site of interest. And this is, of course, best done in the previous step when we did it. However, it is also possible to simply turn off the ecosystems layer temporarily, draw a circle or a polygon, and then turn the ecosystems layer back on. And this circle or polygon will remain visible even if there is no transparency set to the ecosystems layer. Now we're all set to identify the ecosystems at the site. Select the Identify button from the analysis tools and move down to one of the polygons and click on it. And a little box will pop up giving the identity of that polygon. And in this example, this olive polygon is identified as Magdalena Barrancas Desert Scrub, while the other polygons identify as various kinds of agricultural land cover. Depending on how complex this mosaic of polygons in this disturbed landscape is, it can be difficult to make sense of such a picture sufficiently to make an accurate determination regarding the recent conversion of a native ecosystem to agriculture. And this is where the increased functionality of Data Basin comes in very handy. Since we are interested in what kind of ecosystem may have recently been present at the site, we can activate the potential ecosystems layer to look back in time and estimate what ecosystem may have been there previously. To access this function, you first uncheck the existing ecosystem button, and then you check this button right above it called North America IVC Potential. And that will load that layer in. And now it looks quite different because most of the site is covered by this same olive polygon. If we click on it with the identify button, it is identified as Magdalena Barrancas Desert Scrub, which is also associated with this number 10612, which is the EVT code, or existing vegetation code. And also significant here are some other identifiers, particularly the ecosystem unique code CES 302.739. These numbers both appear in the ecosystem description in the International Vegetation Classification, and they provide a clear link between an ecosystem identified on one of the vegetation maps, like this one in Data Basin, or the ecosystems viewer at USGS, and the corresponding ecosystem description in NatureServe Explorer. In any case, this ability to look back in time using the potential ecosystems map layer is extremely helpful in situations like this, where other evidence leads a certifier or inspector to suspect that an ecosystem may have recently been converted. And although this application does not provide a summary description of the ecosystem the way the USGS terrestrial ecosystem viewer does, the identified name here, the Magdalena Barrancas Desert Scrub, and the two codes noted above match those in the IVC, and the name can be plugged into NatureServe Explorer to easily obtain a complete description that contains the dominant and characteristic species, as well as other important features of the ecosystem. One last feature worth mentioning in Data Basin is the systems change layer. By checking this box, the map shows what proportion of each native ecosystem at the site has been converted to other uses, and it's expressed as a percentage of the total estimated pre-settlement area of each ecosystem. So we'll turn this one off and turn this one on. And what comes up is a color code that keys to this set of percentages. And what we're seeing here is it looks like anywhere from 20 to about 40% of this ecosystem has been lost. And if you see losses up in the 50% or greater range, that indicates a very high degree of ecosystem fragmentation and degradation, and attaches greater significance to remnants of the ecosystem found at places such as organic farms.